Fox News is tracking the H1N1 virus with two new developments to tell you about as Fox reports tonight. First, President Obama says he wants us all to be prepared but not alarmed. The president got a briefing, he tells us today, on arrangements for the virus. There's a lot of work to be done in this country if we're going to be ready for H1N1 and not much time in which to do it. Staffing emergency rooms, convincing people to stay home if they're ill, and distributing a vaccine that isn't even ready yet. The White House calls the efforts an all-hands-on-deck approach. But in the end, the severity of the expected outbreak could depend on just how often we all wash our hands. Wendell Gold is all washed up and with the White House tonight. Your hands, I mean, of course, not you. Wendell, great to see you.
Shep, the president met with some of his cabinet secretaries to make sure they're giving state and local officials the help they need to cope with the return of the swine flu. But he's also concerned Americans have the knowledge they need to limit the spread of the virus and not panic if they get it.
We know that we usually get a second, larger wave of these flu viruses in the fall, and so response plans have been put in place across all levels of government.
Officials say a third of the U.S. population could be exposed when the virus returns this fall, and even last spring's mild outbreak overloaded some cities' hospitals.
Some people who thought they'd had H1N1 flooded our emergency rooms, even though most didn't need that level of care, and others turned out not to have H1N1 at all.
In fact, unless you're pregnant or have asthma, diabetes, or heart disease, you probably don't even need to see a doctor if you get the swine flu, but you do need to stay away from other people, like your office workers. And since schools aren't planning to close this year, you'll need to keep the kids home if they get sick. Health experts say that's going to force businesses to make some adjustments.
Because what's going to happen if 10 of your employees are out because the school says to you, we got to keep all your kids at home?
Meanwhile, the government's urging people to adopt habits that limit the spread of the disease. And Sesame Street's pitching in.
Come on, wash with Elmo. Wash, wash, wash.
And when you have to sneeze or cough, do it into the bend of your arm.
The swine flu vaccine won't be ready until mid-October. The president says the government won't require people to take it, but will strongly recommend it. But the swine flu vaccine won't protect against seasonal flu. Doctors recommend you get those shots now. Shepard?
Wendell Golder live at the White House. Thank you, my friend. And while the feds get ready for that H1N1 on a national scale, New York City's making some preps. Remember, the virus first appeared in the United States, as far as we know, at a school in New York back in April. Since then, city officials here estimate the virus has sickened about 1 million New Yorkers. New York has the country's largest school district, and the mayor, Michael Bloomberg, says that H1N1 vaccines will be free for all children in the system. One school district just outside of New York City is taking things a step further. Officials in Glen Cove on Long Island are putting a no-touching rule into effect for students. No hugs, no high fives, no fist bumps, terrorist or otherwise. The local county health commissioner says the rule is a good way to spread awareness of H1N1, isn't it?